Welcome back again to Joe Stunner Boxing. I hope you're enjoying your weekend. We started early with the boxing this weekend because there's the GGG Murata card from Japan. And on the undercard was a very, very good fight between Masayuki Ito and Shuichiro Yoshino, excuse me. Now, Ito is a former WBO super-featherweight champion, and he was moving up to fight his countryman at lightweight. So super-featherweight to lightweight. Could he make the jump? Most people thought he would do. Having said that, Yoshino is the current Japanese lightweight champion, so he's not exactly a sort of rollover sort of guy. And I think more interestingly, he was undefeated. 14 wins, no defeats, but had never sort of left Japanese domestic level, not really, but had looked pretty decent in compiling that 40-0 record. So this was definitely a live opponent for Ito, who coming in was 27 wins, 3 defeats, all on points of defeats, and 1 draw. So was it a case of the undefeated younger fighter, although he's only younger by 1 year, he's 30, Yoshino, and Ito is 31, so there's really nothing in it. Was it going to be a case of the undefeated guy taking a big step up the ladder, or Ito proving his his pedigree and getting back into world contention? Well, this was a really good, absorbing, grueling fight. It was one of those sort of phone booth trench warfare things. And as you know, if you know anything about Japanese boxing, you'll know that these guys don't quit. They're very, very tough men. And so it proved, because the first round, they both came out looking really sharp, really, really good. Both on it, both quite kind of similar styles, very, very similar styles, almost like a mirror image. And I gave the opening round to Ito, very, very slightly. I mean, I thought he was slightly busier, maybe a little bit more accurate, but there really wasn't much in it at all. But in the second and third round, Yoshino, he seemed to have found his rhythm very, very quickly, and he started to not just land punches, but he varied the punches, and he was doing some very good body work. And in rounds 2 and 3, I thought Yoshino really showed something. Really showed almost the key to victory, which was mixing the punches to the head and to the body. Ito didn't seem to, suddenly he seemed a half step behind, half a punch behind, as if he wasn't sure where the next punch was coming from. But having said that, Ito carried on firing his own punches, being busy, taking the front foot. He wasn't backing off to any degree. Like I say, this was a phone booth trench warfare type of fight. Very, very grueling, really grueling. Now, rather tellingly, in the first half of the fight, at some point, I think it was actually quite early, probably around 2 or, it may have been rounds 2 or 3, somewhere around that point, Ito suffered what was clearly a broken nose, and it just wouldn't stop bleeding. And again, he didn't take a backward step, and he was getting hit slap bang on that nose, that busted nose. Real gutsy guy. But equally as telling was the fact that Yoshino, as the lightweight, the natural lightweight, even though Ito looked bigger, physically bigger, I got the impression that Yoshino was perhaps physically stronger, in the sense that he seemed up close when they were sort of banging heads like a couple of rams, and on occasion they were literally banging heads. Yoshino seemed the more relaxed, and he seemed to be using up less energy. Ito was holding his ground, but was using up huge gulps of energy. And again, nothing technically bad about either of these guys. They were there to be hit because they had that, but they both had a sort of offensive sort of front foot style, both of them. And again, you had a slight sort of mirror image thing. But as the fight wore on, Yoshino began to not just beat Ito, but beat him up. The middle rounds were sort of give or take. I'd say the first 4 rounds I had Yoshino winning after 4. The next 4, I would say, yeah, Yoshino probably edged them, but there wasn't a great deal in it. But in the last third of the fight, Yoshino really took over and he started to beat up Ito. Now, like I say, Ito clearly had a broken nose, badly damaged nose. He had a cut over his left eye, I think it was. It was sort of in the corner and just above the eye, and it was giving him some problems. At one point, the referee pulled him over to the doctor. Doctor had a look at it, let him carry on. But there's no doubt that Ito was suffering in there, even though he wasn't taking a backwards step, especially rounds 9, 10, those rounds. Between rounds, I think after 10 rounds, he went back to his corner and he was sitting on his stool and the doctor was looking at him and he looked beaten up. And at one point, you could see him shake his head and say no to his cornerman about something. It doesn't mean to say he's going to quit. It might have just been he was saying no to a particular question. But his body language and his facial expression and his face did not look good. But he came out for the 11th, and then there was this enormous clash of heads, of which Ito, with his face already smashed to bits, got the worst of it. He got taken over to the corner again. The doctor looked at it. There was some swelling above the eye, where it was like a headbutt, almost accidental. This was a very, very clean fight, despite being a very grueling fight. Bang of heads. Doctor looked at it and said, nah, no more. So it went to the scorecards. And the undefeated Shuichiro Yoshino improved to 15-0 with, I think it is 12 or 13 knockouts, stoppages. Masayuki Ito dropped to 27-4-1. This was a fight that you kind of suspect really put some miles on the clock for a guy who's had over 30 fights. These Japanese fighters tend to fight in a very grueling style. They're very come forward. Don't seem to mind getting hit too much. It sounds daft, doesn't it? But they're real warriors, these guys. But can Yoshino come back from this? At world level, I have my doubts. Excuse me, Ito. Can Ito come back from this? I have my doubts because it was such a beating. Yoshino definitely marches on. This is a good win for him against a former world champ, WBO super feather champ. He can now probably get a good, payday and a good opportunity, maybe over in America, perhaps. I don't know. Who have we got at lightweight? Who would you fancy him against? I don't know. I have to think about that one. But good fight. Did you see it? It was on DAZN. It was one of the supporting matches for the Golovkin-Murata fight. If you've got DAZN, I recommend going to see it if you haven't seen it, because it's well worth a look. Very, very tough fight. And yeah, let me know what you thought of it. Leave your comments below if you've got any. Thank you, as always, for giving me your time and watching this video. Subscribe to the channel if you could. You'd help me out in a big way if you just hit that subscribe button. Really appreciate that. We'll speak again sometime. They've got more fights to come. So yeah, all good. Take care. We'll speak again soon. Bye for now.